National Treasury, I'm told you're also present. We appreciate your presence, our stakeholders and the media, and most importantly, the support staff. I just want to highlight that today's meeting's objective is to consider various provincial mandates as will be presented by committee members from each province. So I hope I've not miscalculated. I think we're going to have a very short meeting. So in the past few days, to get jointly with the standing committee, we met all the stakeholders and the public as part of the constitutional requirement. And amongst those, it includes FFC, SALGA, PBO, and inputs from the public in general. We will be expected after presenting the mandates today to adopt this presented mandate as presented, but also we have to next week do the final provincial mandate, whereby we will also be dealing with the committee report for this bill. So therefore, I'm not going to waste any more time, honorable members. Can I check with the Secretariat if there are apologies? Lubabalo Estelle, do we have apologies?
Hello, Chairperson. It's Lubabalo here, Chair. No, Chairperson, we have not received any apology, Chair, from the committee. The only apology that we received from provinces is from Honorable Mbisi. He's going to be represented by Honorable Macheke, Chairperson. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Nothing, Estelle, you don't have anything?
Sorry, Chairperson, okay. No, I also don't have any other apologies.
Okay. On the agenda, honorable members, we have only 2 items. We're going to deal with the mandate, the minutes. And the minutes have been sent to members way in time. And I hope that members have gone through the minutes and have corrected where necessary. I'm going to now go alphabetically to request members to present their mandate from the provinces, and the first province will be Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to the honorable members of the Committee on Appropriations. As Eastern Cape, we do have the negotiating mandate, and Chairperson, I'm happy to say that it is addressed to you as the chair of the Select Committee on Appropriation, and it's signed by the Honorable V. Luana. This is a vote of the Legislature. The Legislature supports the bill and mandates us as delegates to negotiate in favor of the adoption of this bill. The province, however, has the following concerns, Chairperson. The province appreciates the need for reprioritization, but is rather concerned that the downward revision of direct conditional transfers by 1.03 billion may result in the cancellation or scaling back of projects in the year 2020-21. This may result in delay on economic recovery post the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though instruction notes and circulars were issued for all spheres of government in order to facilitate emergency procurement to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic and to avoid the abuse of the supply chain management system to deal with the current disaster, it still appears that upper limits are not adhered to with respect to procurement of PPE items as well as other COVID-19 related materials or delivery of parcels such as social relief of distress to deserving indigent citizens. That is the main issue, Chair, which is an area of concern. Be that as it may, the Eastern Cape votes in favor and it supports the bill. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Eastern Cape. Free State.
Chairperson,
Free State. Yes.
Chairperson, I'm sorry. Like as Mr. Mr. Mulotane just called me now. He's struggling to join. He's got network issues, Chairperson. I was trying to forward the invite to another email, Chair. So I do not know how you are going to handle this one now, Chairperson. Like I was with him on the phone just before you called Free State. Now, Chair.
Okay, can we give him a chance? We'll come back to him. Go to Gauteng Province.
Thank you, Chair.
Gauteng Province.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yes, thank you, Chair. Sorry, you are very quiet today, Chair. I think you're sitting very far from your microphone. So, yeah. Chairperson, just one note before I start with the report itself. We received the apology from Honourable Joe Mpisi. I did put my hand up when the apologies were read out, but I think it's important to note the reason for his apology is it's the passing of his mother. So Honourable Mpisi has had a lot to do with this committee, and he's given us a lot of inputs and been closely involved with the work of this committee. And as such, Chair, with the agreement of the rest of the committee, I would like to request that you write a letter of condolences to the Honourable Mpisi on the loss of his mother.
Yes, I'm sure we all support it, Chairperson.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, having said that, I beg your pardon, Chair?
You can present the mandate now.
Thank you very much indeed. Chair, yes, so as a result of Mr. Mpisi's absence, the process was chaired by Mr. Macheke, who did an excellent job. The necessary legal requirements were followed. The Honourable Mekwe, as the Speaker of Gauteng, referred the matter to the Finance Committee. They had a presentation from Treasury, facilitated by myself and the colleagues from Treasury. We also had public participation. On that note, Chair, there was some excellent inputs on the public participation, although limited. And I think that it's important to note that there was an attempt to get public feedback. It was less than we normally get in Gauteng, I must be honest. However, the quality of the inputs were excellent. And I have actually given the details of the presenter through to our secretariat so that we can encourage them to present directly to Parliament as well in future, because while I certainly didn't agree with everything they said, I did feel that they have value to add. So I've given those details through to our secretariat, and hopefully they will be invited to participate more fully with the parliamentary process going forward. Following the public participation, the committee then put together a report. The report details the formal process followed. It also highlights some issues, particularly dealing with the socio-economic impact and the financial implications of the bill itself. Following that, the committee made some recommendations. If I may, I'm just going to touch, I won't read them word for word, but I'll touch on each of those. There were 5 recommendations, one being that National Treasury should ensure that there's accountability in the utilization of the funds that have been earmarked for COVID-19 pandemic. The second was that National Treasury should create a delicate balance in drafting the budget. I think that's drafting the budget, as the balance seems to tilt in favor of providing social safety nets at the expense of the economy. The third recommendation was that National Treasury should be circumspect of the intergenerational matters when dealing with the issue of government debt. In other words, not passing our debt on to our children. The fourth recommendation was that National Treasury should reconsider allocation of more funds to the Equitable share to ensure that local government receive a reasonable amount by virtue of what it being at the coalface of service delivery. And the last recommendation was that National Treasury should ensure that the fiscal policy is not expansionary to an extent that it leads to the dependence on international financial assistance and institutions, which will then threaten the sovereignty of the country. Having said that, and given those 5 recommendations for Treasury to consider going forward, the Gauteng Finance Committee then chose to adopt the report, and their negotiating mandate that they gave was that the Finance Portfolio Committee of Gauteng supports the principle and detail of the Revision of Revenue Amendment Bill 2020. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ryder. I think your recommendations or advices that come in connection with the apology for Honorable Mpisi are appreciated, and I think we will do so. On behalf of the committee, I will write the letter to the family of Mpisi and our condolences, because I remember last week when he was attending a meeting, he informed the committee about the passing away of his father-in-law. Now is his mother. So there are those times, and we need to show support during these times as we work together. Thank you very much. Can we go to KZN?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. KZN, of course, supports the bill, and I read to you from the text that you have before you. Very quickly, what have I done now? Sorry. Very quickly, it reads, dated 16th of July. It reads, the Portfolio Committee on Finance met today, that's 16th, and agreed to mandate the KwaZulu-Natal delegation to support the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill. That's P29/2020. And then their report, very briefly, is they received the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill on the 2nd of July. They were briefed by NT officials on Thursday, the 16th, that's yesterday, in accordance with Section 1181A of the Constitution. The committee must facilitate public involvement in the legislative process. According to the bill was placed on the legislature's website, including a notice calling for written submissions, but no written submissions received. The dates for the negotiating and final mandates are the 17th and the 21st of July, they note. The Finance Portfolio Committee met on the 16th of July to consider the negotiating mandate and agreed to confer a negotiating mandate to the NCOP in support of the bill, firstly. Secondly, to recommend to the House the granting of a final mandate should there be no amendments arising from the NCOP meeting. Thank you. You are
your mic, Chairperson, your mic share is on mute.
Okay, thank you.
Members, you are requested to keep your videos on as this process is being recorded. You are requested to keep it open. Lubabalo, I hope you have won with Honorable Mama Rehani. Limpopo is next.
Chairperson Mama Rakhane is in the meeting. You may invite her to table the negotiating mandate, Chair.
Honorable Njadu, can you talk to Honorable Njadu will come later after he has presented his to present on her behalf? Can you do that, Lubabalo?
Yes, Chairperson. In fact, if Mama Rakhane is experiencing network challenges, you may ask Mr. Njatu to read the negotiating mandate on behalf of Limpopo.
Please, Honorable Nchandu or Honorable Karen. Now it's in Mpumalanga after Limpopo. We'll come back to Limpopo. Honorable members, I have received the mandate from Mpumalanga. The Portfolio Committee on Premier's Office, Finance, Economic Development, Tourism set and has given a mandate to the permanent member to support the bill B9 2020. The mandate or the letter has been signed by the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Over and above this process of having this meeting, which the deliberations were held on the 17th of July 2020, there were consultations, public participation were involved through radio and visual communication, visual. So there has been a broader consultation and other stakeholders were invited. They participated, COSATU, SALGA, SANCO, and other organized community organizations. So the mandate from Mpumalanga, from the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, is that the province or the permanent member must support the bill. Thank you, honorable members. Can I now go to Northern Cape?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, yes. The Northern Cape did deliberate this, and on Thursday, the 16th of July, they came to the following conclusion, that the legislature votes in favor, and then in brackets it says, subject to consideration of the proposed amendments. So the vote in favor is subject to the following proposals that were made. I'm going to read it out to you because of the fact that it's subject to it. It says that, firstly, drought relief for the agricultural sector is not sufficient. The clause must therefore be included in the bill that require various role players to align plans and coordination to realize the required impact of disaster management grants. Secondly, uniform criteria for the reprioritizing of the 20 billion from provinces must be clearly determined, and departments must report to the provincial legislature on the reprioritized criteria. Thirdly, the adjustments between the budget 2020 and the adjusted budget of some grants are quite severe. Namely, one, education infrastructure grant with a reduction of 20.2%, the provincial roads maintenance grant declining with 15.1%, and the human settlements development grant declining with 10.4%. These allocations must be... Can I continue? These allocations must be revisited, as it will have a negative impact on the fight against COVID-19 in the education sector, and the impact on the economy in respect of the provincial road maintenance grant will also decline. Fourthly, rural municipalities have massive revenue losses as a result, existing challenges, and now due to COVID. Their allocation from the 11 billion will not suffice, and they should be resourced adequately. Fifthly, the bill should have a clause included that prevents the 11 billion allocated to the local government's equitable share being misappropriated. Number 6, the bill should also prioritize infrastructure, rehabilitation and maintenance in the outer years of the 2020 MTF. And 7, and lastly, revenue of departments and municipalities are declining. At the same time, the COVID-19 pandemic places additional spending pressures on them. It is therefore recommended that focus must be on reprioritization within each sphere of government. Also, that the equitable shares must be protected and conditional grants be repurposed to allow funds to be spent in response to COVID-19. After due deliberation, the Portfolio Committee on Finance, Economic Development and Tourism supports the bill, but that is obviously in accordance with the Final mandate, the negotiating mandate is the legislature votes in favor, subject to the consideration of the proposed amendments. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Okam. That's the mandate from Northern Cape conditional support. We have the team treasury here, those things that have been raised there. But I think the main thing is that they do support, but there are issues that they have raised very seriously so that they need to be considered. Can I go to Northwest?
Sorry, Honourable Chairperson, just to come back, I think it's very important. I will read again the vote that was mandated to me is the legislature votes in favor, subject to consideration of the proposed amendment. So I think it's the legislature made it very clear that those proposed amendments, it is subject, the Northern Cape support is subject to the agreement of those proposals that I have read. But thank you. So it's not an outright vote, it's a conditional vote. Thanks.
Okay, we'll see when we finalize the mandate on next week. Thank you. Northwest.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, the Northwest Provincial Legislature deliberated on this Division of Revenue Amendment Bill. They did follow the public participation route. Some of the stakeholders did make proposals. I'm first going to read point 9 of the report. The recommendations by the Portfolio Committee. The committee recommends as follows: that National Treasury, working together with Provincial Treasury, must put stringent measures in place on accountability on spending of the funds by municipalities and departments on the COVID-19 supplementary budget. The Provincial Treasury mustn't release municipal equitable shares and conditional grants of defaulting municipalities, subject to submission of reports to comply with regulations and procedures. 9.3, Provincial Treasury must transfer grants directly to local municipalities in order for identified projects to be completed. Point 4, the appropriation for the agricultural sector in the province be increased so that food security is maintained and there is no loss of jobs in this sector. Point 5, unspent infrastructure grants mustn't be reallocated to a department, rather be transferred to another department. 9.6, the human settlement grant in the province must be increased to accommodate the incomplete housing projects in the province. 9.7, National Treasury and Provincial Treasury working together must strengthen processes of emergency procurements. 9.8, National Treasury and Provincial Treasury working together must enforce project planning at municipalities and departments that have timeframes. And then when we go to the bill, Honourable Chair, the negotiating mandate was addressed to you. It was signed by the Honourable A. Mutswana, Chairperson of the Premier Finance, Corporate Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs on the 16th. The adoption of the bill, the Division of Revenue Bill B9-2020 be adopted with proposed amendments. He also acknowledges the Chairperson, the commitment and oversight process of the Division of Revenue Bill, and also like to thank the support staff for contributing in compiling this report. In adoption of the report, the Portfolio Committee recommends that the House approve the passing of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill B9-2020 and mandate the Northwest Permanent Delegate in the National Council of Provinces to vote in support of the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill as tabled by the Minister of Finance. Thank you, Chair. That's the Northwest.
Thank you very much, Honourable Toit. We are now going to Western Cape. Honourable Njadu.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good afternoon, members. Chairperson, the report of the Western Cape is attached to the negotiating mandate, and the negotiating mandate of the province is signed by the chairperson of the committee of the province, Advocate Bartman. The negotiation mandate is as follows. Western Cape Provincial Legislature negotiating mandate, Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, Bill 9/2020. The Budget Committee reports that it confers on the Western Cape's permanent delegate in the NCOP the authority to not support the bill. The reason for not support is enclosed in the attached committee of the report, on the attached report of the committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you
Chair.
very much, Honorable Jaju. We are now going back to Free State in consultation with Honorable Muletsani, who is experiencing connectivity problems. We are now going to request Honorable Karim to present on his behalf.
Yeah, thank you, Comrade Chair. You have the document before you. It reads basically, it notes the Division of Revenue Bill was referred to them by the NCOP. It knows the purpose of the bill, which you're familiar with. Then on Section 3, consideration of the bill, the permanent delegate together with National Treasury in the presence of Provincial Treasury and invited stakeholders briefed the Committee on Provincial Treasury on the principle and provisions of the bill during a virtual meeting held yesterday. Briefing by the NCOP and National Treasury on the bill, Section 4. The committee was briefed on the impact of COVID-19 on national, provincial, and local government finances and the response of the Division of Revenue in addressing the pandemic. Now, the impact of COVID-19 on provinces and local government. The COVID-19 restrictions on economic activities caused a decline in revenue collection, much strain on provincial town revenues, with provincial-owned revenues, with an anticipated decline of 4 billion rand. Many municipalities were in financial distress prior to COVID-19, and therefore the pandemic added to lack of collection of maximum revenues. The transfer to the provinces, the committee found that provincial equitable share allocations remain unchanged. However, provinces have committed reprioritization of 20 billion from their budgets to fund for COVID-19. Out of the 20 billion, Limpopo reprioritized 1.7 billion towards health and 587.4 billion to other sectors, thus bringing total reprioritized budget by the provinces to 2.3 billion. Transfers to local government, the committee found that an amount of 11 billion was added to local government equitable share fund to their COVID-19 response. Out of this collection, municipalities at Limpopo received an amount of 1.7 billion. Then the conditional grants, according to NT, the 2020 Division of Revenue Act gave allowance for COVID-19 spending from existing grant baselines whereby funds have been reprioritized for utilization at provincial and local government. That is 7.4 billion in provincial grants and 9 billion in local government grants. On provincial conditional mandates, to Limpopo in particular, a reduction of 543.2 million was made from the main allocation of 9.89 billion to 9.3 billion. Input by stakeholders, the committee did not hold a public hearing on the bill, but a call for written submissions was made through emails to municipalities and other stakeholders. However, no submissions were received. Recommendations by the committee, this is the main point, Comrade Chair, for us. The committee recommended that both national and provincial treasuries should put measures in place to deal with procurement irregularities that might arise from spending on COVID-19 pandemic. So that's the main point. 5.2, the further main point, legal frameworks within municipalities should be tightened to provide for stringent monitoring mechanisms on all COVID-19 related expenditure. 3, spending on conditional grants meant for COVID-19 response should be strictly monitored in all spheres of government. So, Chairperson, the negotiating mandate to Comrade Mamarakhane is that the Portfolio Committee in their province obviously consider the bill and confers a negotiating mandate to the NCOP permanent delegates to negotiate in favor of the bill with the recommendations that have just been mentioned. It's by Honorable K.A. Pajla, who is the chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Karim. did you present both? Because I said Free State and I had you going on and even getting to Limpopo.
No, I did the Free State as I asked. I read every single comma and full stop. I think which I personally, if I had my own way, chairperson, would just read the last part. I mean, who doesn't know apart from Fani Jutoy what the division is about?
Hello,
I mean,
Chair.
but you insist on it, so I did it.
Hello.
Now here, I don't know how to do it. I can't open it on my iPad. This thing was suddenly thrust on me, so I have to now find it on my thing, and you will lose me.
No, it's fine. There's no problem.
Right, fine.
There's no problem.
So I'm not being defiant. I'm doing my extra job, which nobody bribed me for. It's highly stressful. Right.
Chair,
Here
point
we
of
are.
order. Point of order.
Hello, Chairperson. It's
The Honorable
Lubabalo.
Karim is
Yes,
provoking the House.
Hello, Chair. It's Lubabalo. Chairperson, firstly, even though it's not my space, I would like to thank Mr. Karim for assisting us and read a mandate. However, Chair, just a small correction. I think there was a twist. You invited him to present the Free State, and then he started with the Limpopo one. With the Limpopo negotiated mandate. He presented a correct mandate. However, he read the mandate of Limpopo Chairperson.
I can't
So
do
we
better.
can just put it on record to say he read the negotiating mandate of Limpopo, and then now he can assist us again with the Free State negotiating
This is
mandate.
where it gets complicated. I can't open the Free State on my iPad, Lubabalo, and that's your fault, your colleagues in IT. So what I'm going to do now, bear with me. I'm 64 years, Lubabalo. I'm 3 times your age. Right. Now I got to go to see. It's very complicated. I must go to, here we are. Now this one that I've got is the what is it? Free State one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very badly reproduced here. So with my poor eyesight, I hope I can read. Okay. So from what I can see, Lubabalo, you'll help me. The Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, as designated by the Free State Legislature, as if we don't know, with the following concerns. Withholding of the conditional grants is inappropriate, and as a result, the victims who are unemployed and the indigent suffer from the lack of service delivery due to the withholding of funds. Comrades, colleagues, please note it's not in Sisutu. It's just that it's very poor copy here on my screen. COVID, so it's English. COVID has exposed some of the long-standing challenges, that is drought relief and lack of water supply in some areas such as Fika, Patsoa, in Malutia, Pafeng, local municipality. There should be allocation to address these challenges. 3, it's important that the allocations of municipalities be increased to ensure that they are functional and are able to deliver the desired services. Look, there must be a way to increase the, let me see if I can make it bigger. Oh dear, how do you do that? All right, I'll battle along. It's too small for me, Comrade Chair. In view of the drought experience in the Free State in recent times, National Treasury could not indicate if and how much money has been made available for drought relief in the Free State, especially for emerging subsistence and commercial farmers to ensure food security. DORAB must be amended to adequately provide for the drought disaster that has plagued the Free State over the last couple of years. 5, the process of reviewing the provincial equitable share formula must be expedited. Comrade Chair, I first heard that in 1998. In light of, number 6, in light of the envisaged district model approach, there is a need to review allocation for district municipalities for them to perform the expected role to support and coordinate the local municipalities in their respective districts. 7, a consideration for a special purpose grant focusing on strengthening district services model municipalities should be considered to ensure sustainability of Category C municipalities, where all trading functions are assigned to Category B. Reconsider the administrative model of local government funding under Division of Revenue Allocation to deal with municipalities placed under Section 139 of the Constitution. And finally, number 9, oversight agencies at different levels of governance must ensure enforcement of non-compliance with relevant applicable legislation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Chairperson.
Karim.
That's a Free State, yeah.
Yes, Babalo.
I was reminding the chairperson to not forget to read the last page, Chair. The one that says, oh, I can't read it. There's the last page that he must read.
Oh, there's another page.
Yes, the last one, chairperson.
Well, Chairperson, I must object to Willie Outcombe, right? He's half my age, and I'm not so computer literate, and I'm working very hard. Harder than I've ever worked since 1998, Chairperson. I think there should be a round of applause here.
We know.
Yeah.
Chairperson,
Where's the last page? I don't have the last. Oh, yes, I see there's a further page. Oh, yes. It simply says, if I'm correct, Lubabalo, it says the portfolio committee votes in favor of the bill. Is that what you want, Lubabalo?
That's perfect, Chairperson. Thank you so much, Chair.
You know, Chairperson, I want to say something about Lubabalo. He should go and work in the United Nations General Secretary's office or something, really. He's so pedantic. Obviously, Chairperson, obviously, after all of that, they're voting in favor of the bill. It's on the computers of everybody. But fine, Lubabalo, let me say it's Honorary B.W. Shabalala. Yeah, well, Honorary V.W. Shabalala is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, Free State Legislature of South Africa, no other country, Lubabalo, 16 July 2020, not 2021, Lubabalo. And therefore, I have read every little comma and full stop of this. Lubabalo, are you happy? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairperson.
I have a gift for the Honourable Karim when we get back to Cape Town. I'll make sure I wrap it up nicely for him, and then he can just work out which province is which.
Honourable Chairperson, can I just tell the Honourable Karim that is why I was happy.
Speak. He's going to be rude about me.
No.
You see what you are doing,
Honourable Karim, when it comes to
my meeting.
Honourable Karim, when it comes to being conversed with computers, I am one of those people that when I shop at the Hi-Fi Corporation, I stop and park at the disabled parking because I am allowed to, because I'm disabled to be that as it may. So I'm with you there. I just did not prevent myself from laughing at the atlas that Dennis Ryder showed to you. So yeah, Limpopo, Free State, Natal, well done, Honourable Karim.
Yeah, the same Dennis who can never connect properly.
Thank you, Honourable Karim, thank you. And all the members, World Atlas, we see Honourable Ryder, we've seen that. Stay happy, Honourable Okam, and everybody. We are having our meeting in the afternoon on a Friday. Thank you so much. Honourable members, can I then now invite National Treasury? I don't know who's leading National Treasury to comment on the mandate from the 9 provinces and further indicate that we must resolve that Treasury must send in writing the responses that they're going to present now. Treasury, Team Treasury, who's leading Treasury?
Thank you, Chairperson. It's Wendy Fano here, and I'm supported by Stephen Kenyon and also Bongani Daka. And we will provide by Monday, we will provide the written inputs on all the questions, all the recommendations raised by all the provincial legislatures. And what we'll do now is just to give a short feedback on the main issues per each provincial legislature. And can I ask then for Stephen to start, and then we will also jump in, but we'll take each province quickly. Thank you very much. Stephen, over to you.
Over to you, Stephen.
Thanks very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon, honourable members of the committee. Good afternoon, Wendy. So I think we'll go through the provinces then in alphabetical order, if that's okay. So I'll start from the Eastern Cape.
Stephen,
yes.
Can you switch on your camera, please?
Apologies, Chair. I thought I had.
You have. I can see him, Chair.
You can see me. Okay.
I can't
There we go.
see him.
Apologies. You can see it's cold in Johannesburg today. I've got my hat on. Okay. So the first recommendation in the Eastern Cape, and I think as Wendy suggests, we'll just give a very brief summary because we'll reply in full in written form by Monday. The first question speaks to the impact on the economic recovery, and I think there what we want to note is that this Division of Revenue Amendment Bill is only the first, it speaks to the first two phases of the three-phased economic approach that we have. So the first two phases about preserving what we have and responding to the immediate crisis, hence the reprioritization to the health system, to local government. Phase 3 is the pivoting towards faster growth and the structural reforms, and more of those kind of changes will be announced in the medium-term budget policy statement. So we're still at the beginning phases of this crisis, and we're not really looking at the medium term at this stage. Then the next, the other recommendation related to adherence to COVID-19 as to supply chain management processes. And there we want to highlight that non-adherence to any of those directives is not acceptable, and that if there are any instances where those directives are not being adhered to, those should be reported to the accounting officer of the responsible institution so that they can take appropriate action in terms of the consequence management framework of their institution. So if there are municipal officials or provincial officials who are not adhering to those requirements, those need to be brought up through the formal channels. And that relates, I think, there were a couple of questions that relate sort of similarly raised by other provinces around measures that have been put in place to deal with procurement irregularities and the sort of tightening of the legal framework, particularly around the transfer of monies to municipality and the reprioritization within municipal grants. So I'll just respond to those. I mean, Limpopo raised them as well, several other provinces, to say that to bring the committee's attention to Circular 103, MFMA Circular 103, that's on the Treasury website. It was published on the 27th of May, and it provides quite extensive measures that are intended to be preventative measures, so to prevent abuse of funds that municipalities should adopt during this period, because of course it's not only that there is this additional funding and there's additional pressures on municipalities, but there are also kind of lockdown related changes that mean that municipalities can't kind of approach their business in the normal way, and so some of the normal checks don't necessarily work. So we've issued the Circular 103, and it's aimed at allowing for municipalities to be more responsive and flexible, while also ensuring that they still achieve value for money and minimizing the risk of fraud, corruption, negligence, error, and incapacity. So it covers that circular. I won't go into it in detail, but it covers a range of things, including strengthening control measures within municipalities for financial management, procurement, and cash flow. Wendy, do you want to go through the summary of the Free State ones?
I can do so, yes. With regard to the Free State, quite a few issues were raised, and let me just find them quickly. Shuna, Stephen, can you take them, because I just lost my document.
You and
Wendy
you and Honourable Karim seem.
Wendy and Stephen is not a train smash. What we will be expecting is that you go and respond to those mandates, those reports in writing, and send them to the secretariat of the committee so that we can send to the provinces together with the minutes. Is that accepted?
You are half age.
Sure. I just found them, or no, I didn't. But we will do that. I just opened the old one. Stephen, if you can continue.
I think if I'm understanding you correctly, Chair, you're asking us not to go through all of the recommendations, but rather to just give you a sort of summary of the main points at this stage, and then to reply in detail. Okay.
Yes.
Then I think the response to the Eastern Cape was useful because they raised that issue about oversight of procurement and risk of corruption, and I think that came through from several municipalities. The issue of drought relief came through from several, not municipalities, from several provinces as well. I think we'll respond in more detail in writing, but essentially the process there, and there was a very useful recommendation from the Northern Cape there around the need for greater coordination. And what we have tried to do here is to make sure that within the agriculture sector, we're always working with the national department that's responsible for agriculture, so the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform. So both the agriculture grants, Comprehensive Agriculture Support Program, and land care grants that have drought relief provisions in them are managed directly by that department, and then the additional drought relief funding through the Provincial Disaster Relief Grant, that additional 138 million that's just been transferred, the allocations for that were negotiated through that national department so that coordination is there. We note the requests from provinces for additional funding. I guess inevitably there will always be requests for more money, but that's not possible. I mean, we've transferred as much as is available at this stage, but we do note the additional pressures. We also note that the drought conditions are easing in most parts of the country, so that is at least some good news on the weather side. And then the other big area that was raised in several of the provincial submissions was about the extent of reductions and reprioritizations in the system. And I think there we've discussed this extensively with the committee already, and that really relates to the scale of the crisis that we face with this pandemic. And I mean, when the members are reading out those sort of shocked reports from the provinces noting how big some of the changes in this adjustment budget are, I think from the Treasury side, us as officials also, we were, somewhat shocked as well when we first saw the numbers that were required, and we've been working very hard over the last few months to find funding on that scale. This is, as we keep saying, this is an unprecedented crisis in terms of its scale, both on the pandemic implications and also on the economic implications. I mean, we have never seen a 300 billion rand reduction in revenue in 1 year nationally, and the scale of reprioritizations that's been needed to respond to both of those has just been enormous. So we take that point, and we are doing our best together with provinces and municipalities and the sector departments to try and manage the impact of that. I think that covers the main points. Wendy, do you want to come in on anything I'm missing?
Maybe just two quick issues. The one issue had to do with uniform criteria for provincial treasuries to reprioritize their provincial equitable share. And the response there is that from National Treasury side, we did give guidance to provincial treasuries, and we did indicate to them from which areas can they do that reprioritization. But the COVID-related response for each province would be different, and therefore it is important that there's provincial autonomy to determine how appropriately to redirect that funding. Because, for example, certain provinces will have a bigger strain on the health side, others will have a bigger strain in terms of the health side, in terms of, say, isolation sites or and quarantine sites, and others will have a problem more on the bed side. So if you start saying you must do this and you must do this, then you're going to put provinces in a problem that they're not going to be able to appropriately respond to COVID. And then the last one has got to do with, there's also been quite a few requests for increases to the local government equitable share. And the first point is the 11 billion has been allocated as an additional allocation to municipalities, and that is quite a substantial addition as an additional allocation. Secondly, funds have been reprioritized through the conditional grants to also enable a more cohesive response to COVID-19. But then a very critical issue that must also be done. It is not just national that must reprioritize and provinces that must reprioritize their own budgets towards COVID-19. The same is expected from municipalities, is to use the existing budgets and to reprioritize, because there are expenditures that couldn't be incurred because of the lockdown, such during level 5 and level 4. It wasn't possible to do certain infrastructure expenditure. For example, traveling has been scaled down at light, catering and like. So it's also important that municipalities come to the party to do that redirection. Thank you very much.
Chairperson, please don't forget to unmute your mic, Chair. Your microphone, Chairperson, is on mute. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Lubabalo. Thank you, Stephen and Wendy, for the responses. Please don't forget that we have resolved as a committee, we are requesting that you do the actual detailed responses to the concerns and recommendations from various provinces in as far as the mandates are concerned, and send them to the committee through the secretariat. Thank you very much, honorable members and team finance, team treasury. Are we fine with the responses, members? There will be detailed responses that will follow. Honorable members?
Yes, madam.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Chair. I think we will wait for the formal written response.
Thank you so much, Honorable Whip. Members, we have some few sets of previous meetings, minutes of the previous meetings. We could not deal with the minutes because we had joint committee meetings. Hence, we deferred them to today, where we are as select committee alone and will be able to go through our minutes. And as I indicated when we started, the minutes were sent to members way before time, and I think members have done justice to the minutes and checked on them. Can you go to the first set of the minutes of the 10th of June? Page 1. Members. Page 2. Honorable Ryder, you will indicate if I'm quick, if I'm faster. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. And page 6. Can I formally get a mover for the adoption of the minutes as a true reflection of the discussions of the meeting of the 10th June 2020? A mover?
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Njadu, can I move for the approval of the minutes?
Okay, Honorable Njadu, seconded by?
Eunice Karim. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Eunice. The second set is the meeting of the 15th of June 2020. First page is the attendance register. Just check your names, they are spelled correctly. Number 2, page 2, I'm sorry. And page 3, this was the shortest meeting ever. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
I move.
Who's that?
Ocamp.
Honorable Ocamp move. Second. Who's seconding?
Okay, I second, thank you. Karim Yunus Ismail.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Karim. The next set of minutes is the minutes of the 25th of June, 2020. The first page, second page, and the third page is the list of the attendees. Page 4, that's where the minutes start. Page 5. Page 6. And page 7. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Okay, Chairperson, I will move for the adoption.
Honorable Mkiva moves for the adoption. The seconder?
Chairperson.
Thank you. Oh, Dennis Ryder, I withdraw.
Honorable Ryder.
Sorry, Chair, just a correction, Chair. On that very last page, page 7, it relates to closing remarks by the co-chairperson. You were not the co-chairperson of that meeting, you were the chairperson.
Oh.
So with that amendment, Chair, I would then, I will move for the adoption of the minutes.
You're seconding, Honorable Mkiva. Thank you very much, Honorable Ryder. The next set is the minutes of the 8th of July, 2020. The first page until page 7 is the attendees. Those are the attendees, the names of the attendees. It was a big meeting. So can we start from 7 introduction to 8? 8. 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12, honorable members. That's the last page. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the minutes of the 8th of July 2020 as a true reflection of the discussion?
Mr. Njadu.
Mr. Who?
Yes, yes, I'm moving, Chair.
Honorable
No, Honorable Karim, on behalf of me.
Yeah, I'll be spokesperson. Appointed.
The seconder?
Zolani Kiva.
I second that end. Comrade Karim, you're out of order.
Thank you, Honorable Kiva.
Honorable
The
Chair.
next set, hello, Honorable Dutoit.
Yes, Honourable Chair, I don't want to take you back or break your speed. I think once we've finished with the minutes, I just want to make mention of the mandates that we had, if you would allow me, please.
Okay, the next set is the minutes of the 9th of July 2020. First page, second page, until this was also a big meeting until page 7. Those are the names of the attendees. Can we start at page 8, the discussions? Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. That's the last page. Can I get a mover?
Yes, Dennis Ryder, DA.
Honorable Karim.
Now I'm a spokesperson, see, he's agreeing. And then Mr. Fani, Jutoy, EFF, I mean Freedom Front Plus. Second.
You are too energetic for your own age on Friday.
Can we just have it formal?
Mr. Jadu is upset. Mr. Jadu is upset.
Okay, Honorable Jadu. A second.
No, I was just saying that.
Who's moving? It's in Jadu.
I will move, Chairperson, on the instructions of what looks like to be the new ANC whip, committee whip. There's a coup in process, but I'll move for the adoption
thank you,
of the
Honorable
minutes.
Ryder.
I'll second it, Honorable Chairperson.
Who asked you, Willie? I did mandate you.
Yeah, now it's formal.
I'll second it if I get a mandate from the Honorable Karim.
Now it's formal now.
Who's seconding? Honorable Okam.
Honorable Okam is seconding. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Fani, you lost out. You were too slow there.
Honourable Karim, I'm not taking instructions from the ANC. Thank you.
Well, actually, I represent the SACP. Let me remind you.
That's close enough.
Honorable Fariditoy, don't spoil the mood. We are too happy today.
I'm glad that you were so joyful.
It's actually worse, Funny.
I'm in a bit of a predicament. Chair, I just received a negotiating mandate from the...
Honorable Fariditoy, there's the last set. There's the last set, just wait. The last set is the minutes of the 10th of July. We have the names of the attendees until page 3, and then half a page there which start with the introduction, the discussions. Anything on page 3? Page 4? Page 5? Page 6, honorable members. Page 7. And page 8. Any mover? The last set of the minutes.
Honorable Chairperson, as the duly elected member of the Northern Cape, I would request that the duly elected member of KwaZulu-Natal please move.
It's a great honor, Chairperson. A great honor. Put that down in brackets. Moved by Yunus Ismail Karim on the instructions of Willie Outcome.
Thank you, Honorable Karim.
In that case, I will second it, Honorable Chair.
Before I even recommended it, that's not fair. Where's the partnership here? Willie has no sense of rules and norms and constitutions and regulations.
Honorable Karim,
Yes, sir.
Karim, I like
madam.
this alliance that I'm seeing.
I might get fired tomorrow when Jadu reports me, but that's another story.
Thank you, honorable members. We
Okay.
are at the end of the meeting, but there was
Mr.
a request from Honorable Stoit. Pardon? Are there hands except for Honorable Dutoit, because I have promised Honorable Dutoit that I'll give him an opportunity to speak. Are there hands, Honorable Mr.
Monitor and see if I can be noted.
Yes, Chairperson, Mr. Ryder's hand is up, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Honorable Dutoit.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Chair, I'm in in a bit of a predicament. I've just received another negotiating mandate from the Northwest Legislature that has got proposed amendments in it. It's not signed, but the signed document mentions the proposed amendments. So I assume that this is the amendments that's applicable. I've just received it during this meeting. Could I please put it to the committee? It's point A to J. I think it's of the utmost importance just to put it on record for the committee to take note of these amendments. May I proceed?
You can proceed, but it's not signed.
The one that I received, it's not signed, but the signed document mentions amendments. Okay. And I didn't give you any amendments when I presented earlier. I've just received these amendments. So the amendments are that.
Can I maybe request that we can only consider a signed document?
Lubabalo also just forwarded me this document from his side, and I've received it from the provincial liaison just after presenting. So like I say, the signed document makes mention of amendments, and as all the other members presented, they presented on two different documents. So I'm referring then to these proposed amendments that forms part of the mandate. Yes.
Okay, you can do so.
Thank you.
You're welcome, you can do so.
I'll be brief. The Department of Social Development, the department should provide vouchers instead of food parcels. The budget for the Department of Social Development to be increased to assist needy parents by buying school uniform for the disadvantaged children. The government has created a burden for itself by promising the unemployed youth a social relief of 350 Rand. How long will the government sustain this assistance? It is proposed that government establish some cooperatives for young people, and instead of giving out that social relief of 350 Rand, rather save that amount for 12 months and fund those cooperatives to sustain young people even beyond the coronavirus era. Point D, the Department of Health. Testing laboratories for coronavirus are expensive. It's proposed that the budget for health be increased to enable the disadvantaged groups to test for free. E, since the coronavirus pandemic began, the market has inflated food prices that result in disadvantaged community being unable to afford the price of food. F, the transport industry has also increased their fares, and there is no social distancing with the taxis that will impact the community in the spread of the coronavirus. G, the Department of Education, the budget for the department to be increased to enable the department to offer bursaries to learners from grade 10 to 12, to remove bottlenecks in the bursary application and allow applicants who are at least 40 years old to apply, and not only up to 35 years. Almost done. Human Settlement Grant, underspending of infrastructure grant, whereas there are lots of infrastructure projects that are incomplete. I, CASP has been reduced by 36 million, and the Northwest is predominantly a rural province, and depending on farming, the proposal is therefore made to review the budgets allocated. And lastly, J, emerging farmers in the province were issued with vouchers from the Department of Land Reform, which were due to expire at the end of June 2020, and were later informed that the said vouchers proposal is that such vouchers be reviewed as they were meant to assist the smallhold farmers. That is all, Chair. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you very much, Honorable Titoit. Honorable Ryder. Honorable Ryder.
Yes, sorry, Chair. Chair, yes, just noting, mine is a much more on a lighter notice. This is our last committee meeting before we address the DORA bill in the House, as far as I'm aware. And it has come to my attention that Mr. Stephen Kenyon is leaving National Treasury. Apparently he's been promoted to a different organization, but we'll discuss that maybe later. But he's leaving the National Treasury, Chair, and I think that he's given this committee particularly exceptional services, certainly in the years that I've been here, but I am told that his excellent advice and information extends way beyond that. So I just wanted to acknowledge Stephen, Mr. Stephen Kenyon, and thank him for what he's done for us as a committee. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson, I would also like to.
Privileged information, spokesperson, you didn't have this information.
Chairperson, yeah, I'm not a spokesperson for Stephen, everybody else, so I didn't know, but I'm sorry that, I'm sorry, like I'm sure you are, Chairperson, and you'll speak for yourself, obviously, in a moment, but, and I'm sure Njadu will want to say something, but yes, when people leave the department, especially Treasury, especially in COVID circumstances, times, when we need everybody around, it is a matter of considerable regret, but obviously, we wish him well.
Excuse me, Chair. Please do not forget to put on your camera. Chairperson.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you very much, Lubabalo. You're the same forever. Okay.
Honorable Njadu, Whip.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Chairperson, on behalf of the committee, I think it will be proper that we thank Mr. Stephen for the very, very good job that he has done for the department. And we also wish him the best where he is going and believe that he will do the same in his capacity and make a difference where he will be. So we want to thank him very, very much and to say that he has done a very good job. Thank you very much.
I think it's very cold where the chair is. I think she has frozen.
Chairperson.
Oh, so remember, apparently Chairperson has been cut off. I'm sure she will join us anytime from now. Apparently she received a call, so it's connectivity problems. But whilst we are still waiting for the chair, maybe the one thing that I can indicate that this is not our last meeting before the bill is going to be tabled in the House. The last meeting is next week on Tuesday, where we will be considering final mandates and adopting the report.
So okay, Lubabalo, I've got a call from the chairperson. Sorry. Are you done, Lubabalo?
Yes, Chairperson. You can also welcome Mr. Moletsane. He has joined us, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moletsane. I hope you won't be late for the EFF revolution, but welcome. Okay. Now, having said that.
No, I suspect there's a sabotage.
Yeah, no, by the ANC, needless to say. Not by the...
No, by the MTN. No, by the MTN, Chair.
Oh, MTN, yeah, the monopoly capitalists. Yeah. Okay. South African owned though they are. Okay, so can we move on, colleagues? The chairperson phoned me now to tell you that regrettably she's cut off and she thinks the meeting is about to end. She asked me to convey to Mr. Kenyon her very good wishes and her appreciation, as does, I think, every member of this committee. So with that said, I would like to say one more final thing. If I was the chairperson of this committee, I would fire Lubabalo for being so over efficient and so over bureaucratic. And this is not the United Nations or the Swiss Parliament. And he's too advanced for a developing country. I think he must go and work in the multilateral institutions. Nobody asked you to clap. I'm cheering at the moment, Dennis Ryder.
Well done, Lubabalo.
And I notice, Dennis, every time you say something as your leader of your party, Willie Outcome claps and applauds you. But meanwhile, being a typical politician, he's stabbing you in the back in the DA circles campaigning against you. So don't think he's your buddy. Okay. Having said that, for those who might not have a sense of humor or might not appreciate it's 4:16 p.m. on a Friday and how banal it is to adopt minutes as important as they are, I want to say I was being facetious and I wasn't being serious about Dennis Ryder and Willie Outcome, although it is true. I wasn't being serious about it. Okay, on that note, Sunday Times and City Press, you've got a lead story there. Thank you very much. See you all. Bye.
Thank you. Honorable Karim, if they want to read a story, I'll give them.
Bye-bye.
One last announcement. We are going to send out the report tonight.
You see Lubabalo now. You see what I mean, yeah? What time, Lubabalo?
Before end of business today, Chairperson will send out the report to members, for members to go through it, so that when we consider it on Tuesday, members must be familiar with the report.
No, absolutely. And members, please note your Saturday lunches and Sunday lunches are out. Lubabalo will be monitoring you, how much reading you're doing. Can you please all report to our committee secretary there? Thank you, Estelle. You're always hiding somewhere, but she also works very hard. Thank you, Lubabalo and Estelle. Now, let's be less facetious. Thank you all, the staff in particular. You really are great, outstanding, actually, in my view, and I'm sure the members agree. Don't nod your head, Lubabalo. It's not decorous. Okay, thank you. Now, I'm teasing you, Lubabalo. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Chair.
weekend. Nkosi Mkhiva. Injani Nkosi Mkhiva? Njani Nkosi yami?